Ceri Jones.
Hi guys, and welcome to this week's podcast. This week's guest needs no introduction, and this will be the third time he has been a guest on my podcast. He tells of his plans for the coming season and his recent appointment with Grays. In this episode, he tells us everything you need to know when fishing Rutland Water, early season and into spring, areas to fish, flies to use, and methods which will bring you success. The ultimate guide, you could say, from an angler who has fished it for over 40 years. Welcome to my chat once more with Craig Barr. Hello Craig, how have you been?
All good, friend. All good, my friend. Very good. Very busy.
Have you done much over the winter?
I haven't. No, I've been busy sorting flies predominantly. Rutland's not been at its best, admittedly, this winter, so I've not been as often. Been a couple of times, but that's about it.
Yeah, I think the last time we chatted, I saw you briefly up in Rutland in, I think it was June. I haven't seen you since then, but you fished Clywelog a few times, haven't you?
I have, yes. Yes, I was up there early in the year with the youth squad and hadn't never fished it before, but really enjoyed it. And I thought, this is worth coming back to. So I came back for 4 days in November.
Yeah,
and bizarrely was catching on size 14 buzzers, which was brilliant fishing, really, given the time of year.
Wow.
November, size 14 buzzers, floating line with a little fab.
Wow.
And it was fantastic. 20 odd fish I had to the buzzers.
I've never known a place in the winter that fishes so well. I know it's probably more stock in the lake than most reservoirs, but it's a deep lake, and you still get the buzzers out in the middle of the lake.
Yes, yeah. I mean, they were there. I mean, I think I was there a few weeks earlier than that. I took a friend of mine from Scotland down for a couple of days as well. And, I'd rang Gareth the day before. So, what do you think, Gareth? I need to get some fish in the boat from a friend. And he said, snake's great. Get a fast glass or dice for it. Of course, I'm going down the market with that sort of stuff. My friend Trevor is not up to casting like that all day long with heavy lines and things, and he just went on. He says, "I'm going to put the buzzers on because fish were moving." I was quite glad the odd fish has got a lot moving, to be fair. And it was late October out in the middle, and he stuck on the team and nymphs before I knew what was going on. He was 4-0 up.
Wow.
On little buzzers. So I mean, that set me, to be fair, for when I went in November. That was a little trick that I learned off my friend. I think, when they're moving like this, get on the top with nymphs, and that's exactly what I did. And then 20 odd fish later. Fantastic.
Did you travel up the Arms at all?
No, I didn't. No, I'm not overly familiar with the place, to be honest. I did early on in the year with the youth boys. I travelled around a lot of the lake and caught, I think, pretty much everywhere we went, which is good to know that the fish are everywhere. But predominantly this time of year when I went in late October, November, we stayed sort of out in front of the lodge to the left in the big basin area that I kind of called it. I think that's what they call it anyway. And towards the cage area. So we didn't really venture much beyond there, to be honest, because I wasn't familiar with it that time of year. But I dare say, had we gone further left and further right, we'd have still have caught. But you've got short hours that time of year as well. So you've got to bear that in mind.
Yeah. The venue is a good venue for teaching people as well, because you can go out with most methods where you're fishing the bang, you're fishing dries or nymphs or pulling, and you'll catch, especially around the cages. So I think it's great for somebody who needs some tuition as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, on the back of my visits early on in the year with the youth team, exactly that. I mean, I do a lot of guiding, and I thought, what a fantastic place to teach people. And it's full of fish. There's plenty of fish there. And I booked a week's guiding in June. All days are gone, Monday to Friday. Well, I'm going to be taking people out. But you hit the nail on the head there. It's the sort of fishery that I just know all methods will work.
Yeah.
Fair enough, I live on the banks of Rutland and I'm travelling 3.5 hours to fish somewhere else. But I know that it gives the opportunity to fish all methods, and you're likely to catch on all methods. Rutland can be a finicky place, as we know. You may need to get things right to get specific methods working, let alone all of them working. But I'm very confident that at Clywedog that you get all methods working, especially that time of year. I mean, it's almost certain, I think, almost certain. But say the cage area is a renowned spot. There's always fish there, so you're always going to catch, which is key, really, when you teach people. You want them to catch a fish, and that's why I'm prepared to travel 3.5, 4 hours and spend the whole week there. I'm lodging it to teach people.
And it's a lovely location as well, isn't it? I mean, the surroundings.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Beautiful, yeah. Really nice, really nice.
So you're going to be coach again for the youth this coming season?
I am, yes. We're on home soil this year, as they say. Home soil, and the look of the Irish has ran for the last 3 years. They've won it 3 years in a row, which I don't think they've ever done before. And, in all due respect to the Irish, having fished through the senior levels, they've never sort of been up there like that. But I believe the senior team's winning as well, and the youth team's certainly winning as well. And there's some strong anglers there. So, and England's got some strong anglers. And I think being on the home water this year, I'll have a little bit more homework, a little bit more, a fraction of a head start, I would say. I say a fraction because they're only kids at the end of the day, and and anything can happen. But
yeah,
I think being on Drake, I've got a little bit of a head start, knowledge-wise as well, having run the place myself personally anyway. There's always a little bit of a head start there, I think. But we've got to stop the Irish doing four in a row. Can't be allowed. Hats off to them. Yeah, they perform brilliantly. I thought the Scots had nicked it, but as the Irish results were coming in, I'm thinking these guys are going to take some beating. They really are.
Yeah.
But yeah, well done to them.
So when is the season going to start for you then? Will you be on Rutland? Is it 8th of March it's open, I think, is it?
Yeah, it opens early March, so I'm likely to get a day or two in early season for my usual jaunt up to the northwest in Scotland for 4 days, salmon trip, which I run every year. I'm looking forward to that, but I will be on the reservoir several times before that day kicks in, I'm sure. And then April, May, I'm quite busy on there again.
Yeah. Is that the trip you go with David Hoppy?
It is, yes. Yeah, the Hopmeister, yeah, it is. Yeah.
He was ill last time, wasn't he? When he was there,
he wasn't good. Yeah, I think he had food poisoning or something. He wasn't good at all. Yeah, I remember knocking on his door. He's like, "Come in out like this, you won't." Oh dear. Yeah, he wasn't good, but he's up for it this year again. He's ready to rock and roll.
Is he? I've had a few days with David the last year or so. In fact, the last one I had was on Graffham. We fished for Zander just before Christmas. It was fierce cold, unbelievably cold. It's not something I would rush to do again. I will do it because I haven't caught a Zander. But it's the conditions are tough. When you're facing the wind, I don't know if you've done that, jigging. No. I'd rather be in the warm.
Perch fishing. Yeah. I might be perch fishing last Sunday, but I'd just driven down from Scotland the night before and I just didn't fancy it. I was just tired, a bit of work to catch up with as well. Had a bit more notice. I could have planned it into my head to have fitted it in, but I think it was like the night before. I think I was still in Edinburgh. He messaged me. Yeah. I'm thinking, I'd love to have gone. Actually, the weather was quite good, but he messaged me at the end of the day and said I didn't miss much. He didn't catch any. So it was.
You're saying you're going to be starting in March now on Rutland. Is Graffham open at the same time?
Graffham actually opens before March the 1st, I believe. Graffham opens, and then Rutland follows the week after.
All right. Which is your favourite?
I get asked this quite regularly. Well, I live 10 minutes from Rutland. I do prefer Graffham.
Do you?
I always seem to do well on Graffham. I enjoy Graffham. I like Graffham. It's just something. Rutland can be very temperamental. It's influenced a lot more by the weather, the wind, the sun, the this and that, and and the temperature. Everything's. Rutland can be so sensitive to the slightest change in weather or anything like that. Whereas Graffham, for me, I find doesn't seem to be as much affected. Yeah. So, and I've always done well at Graffham. I always seem to fish better there for some reason. But Graffham, if I had to pick one from a competition perspective, I'd go Graffham.
I think what Rutland has got is got the location, it's got the bays and the arms, and it's almost like a basin Graffham, isn't it? Almost in effect.
Yeah, it's got something different. Rutland, as you say, it's got the arms, it's got the bays, it's got woods, it's got steep banks, shallow banks, deep water, shallow water. Graffham is very much a bowl. I mean, I said from a competition perspective that I prefer it purely because, and the main factor is you can see everybody.
Yeah.
If there's a congregation of boats for one end of the lake, you're going to see them. Whereas Rutland, you could miss that. So from a competition angle, if I had to choose a lake, it would be Graffham because I could see what everyone's up to. Farm fishing at once end at one side, and I'm seeing a congregation of blokes at the other end. My eyes will be watching to see if they're going back round again and back round again. And if they are, that tells you everything you need to know. Whereas at Rutland, you don't get that as often because you could be at one arm, that could be all happening at the other arm, and you just do not know until you get back into the pontoon and everyone's bagged up and you're on three.
Yeah.
Been there and done it. So,
well,
hey,
it's Rutland I want to chat to you about in this episode now.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone wanting to fish it early season. I've been there a few times, and I how many years have you fished it?
40.
Wow. As regards early season, I suppose it is. I've never been up there early season, but I guess it's very much the same as other waters, like the Welsh waters and Chew even, that most of the fish are in the sides, and you don't really need a boat. Do you find that in Rutland?
100%. 100%. I only fish boats for easy access and scooting around the lake, but the fish, they're freshly stocked, so you're in the region up to 20,000, I believe, go in pre-season, and always in the margins, always tucked in the margins. Deep holes, just scattered along the shorelines. If you know where they go in, they're going to be there or thereabouts. Tend to run to the opposite bank in Whitwell Creek, Normanton Shore, Fishing Lodge area, Church Bay. Another known spot is Old Hall Bay. They're always in there. Sailing Club Bay, Berrybutts, and Gibbets. They're always along the edges. So you don't need a boat. Probably the first 6 weeks, really, 8 weeks. They're in the margins constantly, and this year in particular, just gone. They're in the margins right to the back end of June, in a foot of water on shrimps and stuff. I mean, it was world class fishing, and we just hope it repeats itself this year because it was certainly very different. I've never seen that before.
Yeah. When they put fish in pre-season stock, do they take them around the lake to spread them out?
Yes.
They do still, do that?
Yeah, they stock them to the stocking spots. It'll be Whitwell Creek, the lodge front itself, Sailing Club off the ramps, Berrybutts, Gibbets even, through the bushes there. The lorry can run right next to the track and they put a big chute through there. Old Hall Bay, they reverse the lorry right up to the edge of the water there. Green Bank, which is on the south arm, up against the trees in the corner, that's another stocking spot there. Transform on the north arm, and also you've got Dickinson's Bay on the point there. They are the stocking spots. Every one of the places I've just named is where they go. And the blue pipes, quite often the lorry comes down to there and drops from there because it's really deep. They are all the stocking spots, and they will put them in all those areas at the start of the season.
Yeah.
And as the water level drops, if we get warm weather and obviously a lot of water usage and not a lot of rain, and water level drops, a lot of these places become inaccessible due to not being able to get the lorry close enough. So it then becomes the ramps, the Sailing Club, the lodge, Whitwell, and also the transformer as well. And until that gets a bit boggy, then they can't get the lorry in there. So if you think about it logically, if the water's dropped a lot, and the areas are certainly very boggy, which they have been the last few years, they'll only put them in where they can get lorry access, which is normally the concrete ramps, Sailing Club, Lodge and Whitwell.
I guess that after a couple of weeks, then they'll have the angling pressure on the banks and they'll just move anyway. So they'll be more spread out after a month or two, I guess, then. Yeah,
they are. I mean, early season, they're generally in the areas that they've gone, but once you get a lot of anglers on them and boats on them, they will scatter around, but they will tend to still hold tight to the shores.
Yeah. As regards targeting overwintered fish, it's nice to get your arm in early season to get a few stockfish. If you were targeting overwintered fish, would you head for the arms, or they'd mixed in the main basin, really? I suppose there's overwintered fish everywhere, but if you were after them, where would you head for?
If I wanted to catch a big one early season, there's one place I would head, and that is to the South Arm Hideaway Bay.
Right.
It's a renowned place. You need a tip line, 6-foot tip line, fast or slow tip. 3 or 4 if you can fish them, 18-foot leader, size 10 straight or size 8 grub hook buzzers. Whack it out off the mouth of the bay, not right into the bay, off the mouth of the bay, and let them drop down. I wouldn't say guaranteed, but that's where they'll be. That's where they always are, and you've got a good chance of catching one.
I wonder
if I can get a boat on April the 1st when you're allowed up there, because you're not allowed up there until April the 1st, I'll be there.
Oh, is it? Even though it's open in March March the 8th, you're not allowed to fish the boats up the arms?
No, you're not allowed at the top of the arms. It's to do with English nature
Oh,
and bird
right.
sanctuaries and that sort of thing. So it's draw a line from Gibbets across to the Old Hall Bay, and the same from the Transformer across to Dickinson's Bay. You're not allowed beyond those points until April the 1st.
Right. You're saying
So you couldn't go up
Gibbets?
the top of Manton Bay. It's too shallow. Top of Manton Bay is too shallow for early season fishing. They're in deeper water. Once it warms up, sort of May, June time, then you will go into Manton Bay and potentially pick a bigger one up. But early season, no.
What sort of fish have you had in the past on buzzers fishing at Hideaway?
Oh, 7, 8 pound browns.
Yeah, the browns,
Yeah. I think Graham Hayward had a double last year up there. I know it's where myself, my brother, Graham Hayward, Toff all head to there for the big ones early season.
Wow.
And then once one or two start to get caught, every man and his dog's up there. And, the window of time is normally a couple of weeks before it's been battered, if you like, with anchored boats sitting on top of them all day, every day. And it soon disappears, But if you get up there when it's right and get up there early, i.e. first-ish, from the 1st of April onwards, get a first week or two in, visit there regularly, you've got a high chance of catching the big fish.
We won't tell anyone, right?
Get up there with the buzzers and the browns, we're knocking around, and it's a big lure on a fasting kilam will suffice as well, I dare say.
That's what I find, especially here, that even when fishing on buzzers early season, just when they're starting, I find you don't really have to match the hatch because the fish are hungry. So anything really, you put in front of them within reason, they're going to be tempted to go for it anyway because they'd have a winter without much food on the Welsh waters anyway. Maybe there is more feed to places like Rutland and Grafham, but you don't have to be too fussy. But when you're fishing these buzzers, are you large buzzers then? Are you like a size 10?
Yeah, heavy buzzers, heavy, like size 10s or 8, squib hook 8 buzzers. And pretty much hang them, fish them on the hang, get the depth and then just hang them.
Yeah.
And it just wallops over,
You've had a couple of nice browns this year, haven't you?
I had one at 7.6 this year. That's been the biggest. I think the year before I had a few more. But I had a decent one this year. They've not been as prolific this year. Saying that, I can let you into a little secret.
If you're enjoying this podcast, consider becoming a Patreon. You get weekly podcasts from the biggest names in the sport, access to over 165 episodes, including Craig's previous episodes, behind-the-scenes photography, and other exclusive content. From just £5 a month. To tune in, visit patreon.com/Casting with Ceri Jones, or see the link on my website, castingwithcerijones.com.
I don't think it's been out on Facebook yet, but I've seen a video. A pike angler on the last day at Rutland was fishing out in the basin and had a 16-pound 9 brown trout on a big, heavy rubber jig.
Wow.
Thing, fly. And what's interesting was he had the sonar. I mean, excuse my ignorance here because I don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to pike fishing, but he had the sonar scanner TV thing. And I actually watched it on this screen that someone had sent on a to WhatsApp to one of the wardens, and I watched this little film. And all it was dots. So there's a pink dot, which was his jig, 9 meters deep, and there was another bigger dot going around it, which they said was a fish. And then bizarrely, which is very typical of brown trout, taking the bait at the surface, which I find when I'm pulling for them on humongous lures, 9 times out of 10 you hang that fly because that's when they're going to grab it. 9 times out of 10 they'll not hit it when you're pulling it, they'll hit it when it just comes to the surface and stops. That's when they'll take it. And exactly what happened with this jig I watched on this video, the guy saw the fish 9 meters down on his little screen, was watching, there was a little pink marker which was his jig fly, and then there was a bigger mark coming up against the fly down below, and the guy was going like, that's the fish. And I was watching his jig coming towards the surface, and the guy was obviously jigging it up to the top, and this big shadow, the shape on the screen, was the fish following it to the surface, and it hit it right near the top. 16-pound 9. Wow. I saw a photo, I thought, geez, and I watched it go back, a little video clip of it going back. I was like, wow. So they are in there.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to put it on Facebook. It was just a couple of days ago. It was at Rutland, and they said not to say much, but I mean, I'm sure it'll be out, probably if not out already. But yeah, it was taken out in the basin.
Yeah.
9 meters deep. It's pretty deep.
I'm sure there's, with my experience fishing the Corrib and fishing for the Ferox, if you fish the right technique on Rutland, you're going to pull some huge fish. They won't catch them on a fly. You catch the odd one. I bet there's 20 pound plus trouts in Rutland with no hesitation.
There's absolutely got to
with all the coarse fish in there as well. I had was it year before last? You were saying about gibbets earlier on. I had a 5.5 pound perch from gibbets a few years ago. That was incredible. I'm not really a lover of like catching coarse fish on a fly, but it was impressive. You see a 5 pound perch and it's like jaw dropping. The colours, it is. It's like prehistoric.
I had a 3.5 pounder on a buzzer this year on an indicator in the Sailing Club Bay. I mean, again, like you, fly fishing for coarse fish just doesn't float my boat, unfortunately. But this one took a buzzer under the bung, and it was a historic, like you say, looking thing. Not the prettiest looking thing to me, but it was some size of a fish. And then the guy at the other end of the boat appreciated it a lot more than I did. And he said, "Oh, you got to get a photograph of this. Got to get a photograph." And he took a nice picture of me holding this big perch. But yeah, it just took the buzzer on the bung.
Yeah. Well, I guess the buzzers will kick into their own. Usually in the past, it was like end of March, April. But, the seasons, the last 3 years, I've noticed, they start earlier. Everything hatches and it goes warm then for the rest of the year until September. Nothing really happens then until September, October even. Yeah,
the buzzer season is definitely getting, it's a month earlier than it used to be. I think it starts in March. It used to be when I first started out fishing years ago. It was definitely April, May into June, but now it's March into the middle of April and it seems to slow off.
Something is an experience for me the first time I've seen it, and I think I'm right in saying it was the first time it's happened in Rutland. When I was there in June, the fish were I expected to be fishing at a 3-day there, fishing for the pin fry feeders, but they were in close to the sides, and after about halfway through the day, I thought, hang on, they're not feeding. I couldn't catch them. They weren't actually on the pin fry, but they were feeding on these shrimp, and I don't know if is that something new there.
This year, yes. This year, I've never seen anything like it, where they were so tight. And I mean, I'm talking inches from the shoreline, and it's hard for people to possibly believe that, but literally
they were, weren't they?
Inches of water, I've caught them. I had a brown trout that was no more than 3 feet. It was inside 3 feet from the bank, 5.5 pound on a size 16 grunter.
Oh,
right in the mud. I mean, you would never imagine a fish like that would be so close to the bank. I just saw a little nose stick out. That's all I saw. Flick my fly in front of it. Up it come, and it was 5.5 pound going bonkers in like 5 inches of water. It's crazy, and yeah. So that it was absolutely fantastic, and I just hope that it follows on this year. I'm certainly hoping and praying it does, because that was absolutely fishing out of this world. That was down there, Medjie, and they weren't easy. They weren't easy to catch. Down a 6 pound line, quite often a single fly, and that was a key. I fished a little suspender hare's ear hybrid shrimp that I tied up. Suspend a piece of foam, hare's ear body, a little bit of sparkle in the tail. That was just murderous. Flick it in front of them, let it sit there, and it just you're fishing nymph and anything, that's all water's on the bottom within seconds. So you needed something suspended, and they really came into their own. 6 pound line was key as well. Very, very gin clear water, shallow. So anything that's floating on the surface spooked them, But it was incredible, absolutely amazing.
They were quite brazen,
and it just lasted, kept going and going and going and going and going. They just kept coming.
Yeah, you couldn't spook them. You're going back around, and they were still there, chomping away.
Yeah, just leave an area alone for 5 minutes, come back, and they're back in again.
Yeah, it was on the suspender hares year. I think I had most of my fish.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's a perfect fly to fish in shallow water. Just sit it at the surface where they want it, and they can't miss it, It's just they were swimming around in a foot of water, and it just sat there in front of them. Happy days.
Yeah, like we worked hard, and we had a few fish, and we thought, let's try someone else. And do you know what? We went around, spent like half a day just trying the usual spots for something different. But we ended up then, it was between the Pipe and Normanton. You were there one day when we were there fishing with Source.
Mm-hmm.
That small area there, and they were just gorging themselves in it.
Oh, brilliant.
3-day trip we have in June, but this year we had a meeting, a few of the guys now, and we're coming up in September. I think it's the third week. Maybe get some fry feeders by the tower. We had a good day when we went. and fished the tower.
We did.
Year before last.
Someday that was, wasn't it? Someday.
You landed 2 or 3, I think, and they were round about the
£7 plus, weren't they? Yeah, £7 plus browns. But when they're there, I wouldn't say they're easy to catch, but you've got a much heightened opportunity to get them when they're on that frenzied frame of mind like that. They're off balance a bit, and you can catch them if you fish for them right.
Yeah, we both hit about another 4 or 5 each, but which didn't stick. You never know when you're going to get there.
No, that's it. That's what I like about it. That tower, like North Arm Tower, it's a very quiet location out in the middle, 40-odd foot of water. You know, there's going to be some huge ones lurking around there for sure. I mean, I've seen them. I think up to £15 there before. Not hooked them, but I've seen them. It's
the sort of thing you got to be focused, because when we went out, it'd have been tempted to go here, there, and have a few fish, knowing we were going to get a couple. But when you go to the tower, you could go all day without a fish and then hit something special. It's much better to stick at it.
Yeah, you've got to. Yeah, absolutely. If you're going out, I mean, I think we said we're going to go out for a big one, didn't we? So
yeah,
you've got to stick at the area. Just stick at it. You know, I'd rather go there and get 1 8-pounder and come off the water, mission accomplished, than spot around here and everywhere and get 6, 7, 8, 9 stockfish, if you like. You know, they're worth catching, because the whole adrenaline rush when you see it in the water, it's like, geez,
amazing,
get it in the net, you know, and then this job done, isn't it?
Yeah,
but you've got to keep at it for those that, you know, they don't get that size.
Did they get rainbows by the tower there then?
Yeah. I had a decent one a couple of years ago. I had a nice picture of actually, about £5.5 on a black humongous on a die 3. But they're not there. I mean, it's a known brown spot. It really is a known brown spot. Not so much rainbows. I think the depth is what keeps the browns there. But I had a lovely rainbow there 2 years ago, about 5.5.
Nice.
So they are there, but it's definitely a brown spot. Definitely.
Yeah. I noticed on social media the other day you had some news with greys. What's the story there?
Yes. I'm now on board with Gray's fishing tackle. It was in November, to be fair. I mean, it was a bit of a shock out of the blue, really. I got a message on my phone, I think from the commercial sales director, I think he was, and said, would like you to give me a call, please. I was thinking, what does he want?
Yeah.
Strange. You know, and I really thought, what's this about? You know, do they want my flies or what's happening? So I gave them a call back and had an interesting chat with them. And cut a long story short, you know, they were keen to get me on board as a sponsored angler with them. You know, I think Gray's, you know, their own admission have lost away a little bit in the fly world and want to get themselves back on track, which I'm sure they're more than capable of doing. And they said, would I like to come on board with this new sort of venture and plan and whatever else? And you know, they talked very positively about what they're doing and how I could get involved, etc., etc. And in all honesty, I just thought, you know what, a brand that size, I'd be crazy not to be involved. I think that's how I felt. I mean, I've been very loyal to been with Witchwood for a long time, 10, 12 years, and fantastic products, fantastic people, great time, no issues, everything was rosy. But, you know, when Grays come knocking at your door, it's just a different ball game in my head. You know, I'm thinking, well, I'm getting at the age now where, you know, if I'm going to take a leap, it needs to be now. And I think Grays would be the right place for me.
Yeah, they are going to benefit from having you on board because, like you said, I wouldn't say they lost their way. They've always been up there, Grays, and Grays and Hardies. But it seems, I don't know, perhaps they've gone a bit quiet. But I think with someone like
you know, I say lost their way. I mean, they've certainly been a bit quiet in the field.
Yeah.
And I think they just want to put themselves back on the map again. And, you know, I was more than happy to be part of that.
Brilliant. Congratulations.
Thanks. Well, yeah, it's exciting.
Well, the only thing would get better for you then is to get signed by Forest.
If only. I tell you what, the way they're playing at the minute, they could probably do with me in the back.
I hope they don't go down.
No, I hope so too. I'm up there tomorrow night, Bristol City in the Cup, and then Newcastle United at home on Saturday.
That's right, because
so it's all go.
Yeah, I thought it was guaranteed that we were going to play, because we played West Ham now, we played Bristol City, and we fluffed it. And we'd have been playing you. There's one guy, I can't remember his name now, playing for Bristol City. He's doing really well. Half strong team. You'll have a game in your hands with them, I think.
Yeah, they're not, I mean, I'm hoping the fact we're at home we'll swing it our way, because they weren't easy to beat. I mean, we didn't beat them, so that says it all, really, isn't it? But, Forest are a little bit unpredictable at the minute, a bit up and down, if I'm honest. So who knows? But I'd like to think at home we'll beat them.
I hope so. Have you got any goals for this year?
Goals for this year? Well, I'm very busy. I know that. Obviously, I've got Greys in the background now, so I'm hoping to do some things with them. I've got potential trip to Canada. I'm away to Australia in the summer for a month, so potential trip to Ascension Bay in Mexico next year now, 2025. Nice. So there's a lot happening. The flies are busy. I'm, increasing them constantly. I've just opened an account with a guy in America yesterday. His orders come in, so that's good. So that's certainly keep me busy. And as far as actually fishing goals go, just get out as often as I can, really. That's what I'm aiming to do. I like being out. Got a lot of guiding happening again, and I'm looking forward to my week on Clywedog, and I've also got 5 days booked on Lake Menteith.
And I guess gold for the youth.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, Christ, yeah, I can't forget that. Absolutely. But that's the ultimate this year. I think the thing in the back of my mind, glad you said that, in the back of my mind, that's the one for me. That's the one we need to get right. Get the England youth winning gold at home. It's the first time I've actually been an international at home due to COVID. It skipped, so I missed it. I've been on the helm now for 6 years now, I think it is now, and we're 2 years out with COVID, so it's the first time we've been at home, so we'll look forward to that. Just
to mention as well, your flies, Flash Attack, all the patterns which you mentioned now about for the early season in Rutland, they're all on your website, and they can make an order directly from your website.
Yeah, I've got thousands of choice, whether you like barbed or barbless. They're all there. And we will happily help people out. I get many emails from beginners wanting to know what to use, and I'll put sets together for them. And I say, just let me know your budget. I'll work to that for you. And I always throw a few extra in for everybody. So, we can certainly sort that side out for anybody that wants to stock up for the season. Starter, beginners, experienced, not so experienced, starter kits. We can sort anything out. Just get in touch.
Well, hopefully I'll be up now. I don't know if I'll be able to make it in March, but April, I'll give you a shout, and we'll have a day or two out then. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a day up at that Hideaway Bay, mate, if we can. I like the idea of that.
It'll be good to get a whopper on the buzzer up there.
Yeah.
And it really is good. We get it right. So I'd say mid-April, Ceri. If you can come around mid-April to early May, that's the time.
Definitely. I'll be in touch. We keep in touch now, and we'll sort something out. Nice one. Well, thanks again for joining me, Craig. And
you're welcome.
I hope to
always
catch up with you soon.
Always a pleasure.
Cheers now.
Lovely.
Take care.
Cheers now. Tight lines. Thank
you.
Bye
now. If you've enjoyed this podcast and want to listen to more, please consider becoming a Patreon, where you'll get weekly podcasts and access to over 140 episodes, behind-the-scenes photography to go with each episode, plus other exclusive content and prizes. To become a Patreon, visit patreon.com/casting with Ceri Jones, or you can find the link on my website, castingwithcerijones.com. That's all for now, and tight lines, and may they always be up in the wave.